Alright, welcome to episode 20 of Puckin Awesome. I am Cassie. I go by Abstract Halo on Reddit, Twitter, social media in general, and I'm just happy that the Gophers are doing very well this hockey season. And these are my
Indeed
co-hosts.
I'm Ari. You can find me at Ari_Raid on Reddit or Twitter, and you can now find me as Ariana on Midwest Sports Nation as the Blackhawks beat writer.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Yeah.
Big news. Cool.
Yeah, I wrote a season preview, and I've got a recap of the last game that's going up soon. So stay tuned to my Twitter feed and MidwestSportsNation.com for more Blackhawks updates from me. You can also find your wild updates there from David Birding.
Okay, I'm Cora, and I go by Florizod on Reddit and Velociraptor on Twitter.
Okay.
And it's just the three of us tonight because our other lovely co-hosts are either stoned on Oxycontin or spending time with their family.
Yes. So
Take your pick of what's more fun.
Okay. So let's start off. Let's look at the scores for the games going on currently. My work website wouldn't come up instead of the NHL website. Okay. Earlier today, Anaheim defeated Buffalo 5-1.
Oh, Kathy, I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, you're probably going to get your first win tomorrow night. Don't worry.
Colorado beat Boston with a buzzer beater of a goal from Danny Briere, 2-1.
That game was pretty crazy.
Tampa Bay is currently winning 4-1 with 16:45 left in the third over Montreal.
And that game includes a Steven Stamkos hat trick with a beautiful second goal. He just had a stretch pass from Hedman, who's got 3 points this game for a career high, and went 5-hole on Carey Price. If you haven't seen the move, you should look up a GIF of it. It was really great.
Okay, and the other game going on, Ottawa is up 1-0 on Florida with about 12 minutes remaining in the third.
Tonight has been wonderful, and it's going well. I like this. Today. These scores are nice.
Yeah.
It's been nice for me because in one fantasy league I have both Steven Stamkos and Victor Hedman and Danny Briere. And then the other fantasy league where my team was auto-drafted, I picked up Reda Berra on the waiver wire. And so I got my first goaltender win of the season so far. But that's all for fantasy hockey. I'll try and stay away from mentioning it.
Yeah, we're doing okay in fantasy, actually. So.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
Okay, so let's jump into some news from this past week. Last Tuesday, the Buffalo Sabres named their captain, and the captain is Brian Giunta. The alternates are Josh Georges and Matt Molson. Now, I'm going to be nice and not say my thoughts on that.
No, you can say your thoughts on that. You have the most substantive thoughts of any of us.
I think it's fucking stupid that we handed out captain to somebody who's never actually played for the team before and didn't earn it, who hasn't suffered.
I do hate that. Who hasn't suffered? Well, don't worry, he will suffer.
He's now, but he hasn't suffered and he hasn't earned it, and I don't think it sets a good example for our young guys to just hand things out because you signed here.
But on the bright side, at least we're not San Jose.
Yeah. I'm okay with the Molson one because he was here last season, he got traded away, and willingly came back.
Which is either a sign of loyalty or insanity.
So that one I'm okay with. The other two I'm kind of not a fan of. So.
I can see that.
Let's see.
In general, I don't like handing out letters to people who haven't played on the team. But frankly, I can't think of who else Buffalo would have given them to.
Stafford.
Yeah. I mean,
he is the longest tenured player. So, in other news from Buffalo, they will be hosting the 2016 draft.
Which is probably appropriate.
Yeah, kind of appropriate. And they also hinted at a Winter Classic again in the future. based on the 10th anniversary of them coming up soon, and Buffalo being the original team, one of the original teams to have one. So
No, fucking give a Winter Classic to teams that haven't had it yet. Stop.
they're saying the 10-year anniversary, which would be 2018.
I don't care. Minnesota's still not going to have a Winter Classic in 2018.
Okay, I want to set the record straight. I would love Minnesota to have one for selfish reasons, but the reason Minnesota has yet to get a outdoor game is based on a few things. One, Target Field. We'd have to use Target Field right now because we cannot use TCF due to the Vikings not having a stadium. Two.
Well, they will soon.
Soon. Two, the Minnesota Wild would like to do the Winter Classic in culmination with a high school and college game, and they were supposed to have an outdoor game this year, but the college schedules were already set and did not allow for leeway to have a outdoor game.
That would have been pretty cool, though.
Yes, in true Minnesota fashion, they want to make this a statewide thing with all levels of hockey.
I would travel to go suffer in that weather to go see the Minnesota game.
So
It'd be pretty cold. I don't know if I would do a Minnesota Winter Classic. I'm not a wimp about colds, but hockey game's a long time to be out there.
oh, it's going to be in the cities. It's not going to be that bad.
Oh, come on. Looking like a true upstate elitist.
But I do have to say, I mean, I see why it's being held up, and I can respect it. So, but yeah, that was also brought up because of the 10-year anniversary coming up in 4 years. So, yeah, hopefully other teams will get it before then. Okay, do we want to take a question? Do we want to go on to another?
Sure, let's take some questions, and then we've got lots of topics to talk about.
Yes, it's been busy.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question was, how awesome was that Stamkos hat trick?
Oh, was that from Josh?
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. It was really cool.
It's beautiful. And it was against Montreal, which made it even better.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
One of the great things, sometimes people score hat tricks, and you're just like, like, none of those goals, like, those goals, some of them were, like, gross, or, like, not that impressive, like, oh, they scored them against, like, you know, AHL goalie, like, whatever. But this is against Carey Price, like, in a rematch of the first round of the playoffs. It's a revenge hat trick, beautiful goals, you know. This is a perfect hat trick, basically.
Yeah. Okay, the other question is, are the Sabres tanking for McDavid, or are they actually just that bad?
Well, I think they're tanking for McDavid because they are just that bad. You know, I think that, you know, if Buffalo at the end of last year had been like, this was a disappointing year, but, like, we'll do better next year, then they wouldn't tank for McDavid. But at the end of last year, Buffalo looked around and said, wow, our team's got fucking shit, especially now that, who's his name that got bought out? Ennis?
Ehrhoff.
Ehrhoff. You know, we better jettison Ehrhoff and then fucking tank for McDavid so we can be better. So both.
I think we're bad. I mean, I remember during this offseason arguing with you guys that, yes, we are in fact that bad. We are still shitty. We are still going to be horrible.
Well, what a good year to be horrible, then.
Yeah. We are horrible. Enroth in 2 games, the first 2 games of the season, faced 87 shots.
What? Today they only had They
only had
12
shots
shots.
on goal.
44-12. Oh my God, he's gonna be having flashbacks.
Yeah, tonight was Neuwirth playing because we have a back-to-back.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We have a back-to-back. So tonight Neuwirth played, and
that's still insane. That's so insane. I can't even.
So Neuwirth faced 44 shots in his 1 game, and Enroth has faced 87 over the course of 2.
For those of you keeping track of the advanced stats at home, that is Corsi. I'm not really going to go into how bad of a Corsi that is. I'm just going to leave it at, in terms of Corsiing, they did not Corsi hard.
They coursied off the cliff.
They
It was bad.
18-wheeler in the words of Brian Burke.
Yeah, it was bad, and at this point, at least the Gophers are doing good. So I have one team to have some hope in, and the Wild are doing okay too. So
Oh, and Tampa scored.
Someone
It's
really
now
hates the Habs.
6-1.
Oh my goodness.
Glorious. This is making my fever just go away completely. I mean, last night helped, but this is great.
And the last two goals were from Callahan and Andre Palat, and they pulled Carey Price after the fourth goal, which I hadn't noticed. So Carey Price, Dustin Tokarski now has a save percentage of 600, which, again, for those of you keeping track at home, is not good.
no. Okay, let's go into a couple of the other topics before we get to the next question. The Wilds signed Jonas Brodin to a 6-year extension. The cap hit is $4.16 million per year.
Yeah, I think this is a great contract.
It's a fantastic contract.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for Brodin, I think, to have a long-term contract and some stability and just be able to focus on, getting better and learning from guys like Ryan Suter. And I'm pretty high on the Wild defense. I think there's stuff to learn from Scandella and Spurgeon, et cetera, as well. But it's a great deal for Minnesota to lock up a player that good, that young, for that long.
Yep.
For not expensive at all for what Brodin will provide you in 2 or 3 years. A little expensive for next year, but...
But they've got contracts coming off the books soon, so they'll be fine. Cap going up, contracts coming up, they're good.
Please go out cap.
Another Wild news, Darcy Kemper is the first goalie to start a season with back-to-back shutouts since Luongo did it in 2005. They're both against the Avalanche.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, the Avalanche are in trouble.
And
They did beat the Bruins.
They did.
Let's keep the important things.
And I mean, I don't want to take away from the Wild victory. The Wild were great. Kemper was great both nights. They outscored them a combined 8-0 over the course of 2 games, which is great. But the Avalanche are also that bad.
Yeah.
Which, again, I'm torn because I don't want them to do too badly because I don't want them getting such a high draft pick that it's put together with McKinnon.
I don't think they're going to fall that far out of playoff contention. I mean, ideally they would not make the playoffs, but I don't think they're bad enough to finish, top 5 or probably even top 10.
Yeah.
The reality is that as much as we may hate him, Varlamov is still a good goaltender even when he's not as good as he was last year. They've still got a pretty excellent forward core. Duchesne, Landeskog, McKinnon, etc. Ryan O'Reilly.
Their defense.
Yeah.
Atrocious.
Well, I will say, while we're on that topic, that was a nice goal from Danny Briere today, though, and Nathan McKinnon made it all happen. Nathan McKinnon's a superstar.
Well, we just know how much you love Danny B. Sorry.
I do. And to be fair, it was a nice goal to look at, but it was only a nice goal to look at because they literally left him all alone in front of the net. It was just Danny Briere. Danny Briere had, all the time, not the time, 1 second, but all the space to, make it happen. That is not a goal that was any skilled player could have given that amount of space scored a goal, but Nathan McKinnon really did make it happen.
Okay. Do we want to go into the question, or do we want to do another topic?
Let's do another topic.
Okay. Pronger was named the director of player safety. It is news.
It is absolutely cap-circumvented. If he is actively holding another job, not even in the realm of hockey, but for the NHL, while still, quote, being an LTIR, end quote, that is absolutely cap-circumvented. And I know this is a difficult situation for teams that have guys like that, Mark Savard in Boston, Pronger, or whatever. And I know that if, knock on wood and God forbid, something happened to Marian Hossa, I would want to be able to put that contract on LTIR. But it is just unacceptable. It makes a mockery of the fact we're supposed to be taking the Cap seriously now.
Yeah.
If they can do that, I don't know why there's a penalty for retiring early on long contracts. I don't know why you can't give super long contracts with lower end deals. Clearly we don't care.
I think it's stupid that they're letting him do it.
It bothers me too.
I know a lot of people are worried about interest. I'm not that worried about that. You could have argued that Shanahan had a conflict with Detroit or with the Rangers. You could argue that Patrick Burke has a conflict with Calgary. But, Patrick Burke doesn't make decisions about Calgary. And I expect that Pronger won't make decisions about Philly. But, although I think it was an Art Hockey quote that was the best line yet, which is that, yeah, but any discipline regarding the Eastern Conference has to be about Philly.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just think it's cap circumvention. I think if a former player wants to work in the office, they should officially retire first. Because he's also collecting a contract from the Flyers while doing this, and that's my concern. But
yeah. The other really hilarious thing about all of this is that when they asked Pronger why he wanted to do it, Pronger was basically like, yeah, the next best thing to being in hockey. He was like, I'm not doing it to make the game better. I'm doing it for a challenge. I was like, okay.
Jeez.
Great. I'm glad you're doing it for the right reason. Someone give me Shanahan back.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't enjoy admitting that I'm wrong, but for all the shit I gave Shanahan while he was there, I miss you, Brendan Shanahan.
Can't have him now. He's ours.
Yeah, how's that going for you?
I'm glad we won, but I kind of wanted to lose because I just wanted to see Randy gone.
Yeah, should we talk about the Leafs now?
Here, we'll get into this. This is a question from Chris.
Oh, God.
What teams should be panicking, and what teams need to chill the fuck out?
Oh, that's a good question. Thanks, Chris. Who are your guys' top three of each, maybe?
Colorado.
Standings. Okay.
All right, Cora, you go first.
Okay. I think I would be worried. Florida, Carolina, and Buffalo, I would think, it's just kind of Carolina, even though Francis really didn't say it, it's a rebuilding season. We know Florida and Buffalo are, just deal with what you have, go for the draft. If I was worried, I would be more with Philly, Rangers, and Colorado.
Fair. Kathy, what about you?
Teams I think should really worry: Dallas, Colorado, and probably the Rangers. Because Philly had a slow start to last year, and they made their way into the playoffs just fine. They just take time to get started every year.
That is true.
Dallas and Colorado are in the death division, where if they fall behind, it could be the end of them.
Yeah, it's going to be real tough to recover from a slow start in the Central. I think I would go ahead and say that Edmonton should be worried. It's tough to say that because, Edmonton's been worrying for a long time. But if this was the year that the rebuild was supposed to end, Edmonton's not looking so great. I think that Washington should be a little bit worried, although they beat the Bruins. And that leads to, I think the Bruins need to be a little bit worried.
Not in the division they're in.
Yeah, but sure, the Bruins are almost certainly a lock for the playoffs. And you never know what's going to happen in terms of the rest of the league and injuries, or in terms of the trade deadline, etc. But I watched that whole Bruins thing today. They don't look good. They don't look like themselves.
That is true. I don't think so either.
Yeah, the Avalanche didn't look particularly inspired either. But, they were doing things like, Matthew Shane was dancing around 2 or 3 guys. And against the Bruins, that's not normally the kind of shit you can get away with because, Milan Lucic pounds you to the boards. Zdeno Chara takes you to the boards. They didn't look tough. They didn't look scary. And they certainly don't have the offensive spark that they typically have.
Right.
And they didn't start Rask today, and they're always going to get great goaltending. But if I were a Bruins fan, I'd be wondering a little bit what's up.
I mean, in terms of getting into the playoffs, just based on the layout of the Atlantic Division, Boston's going to get in. It's just they're having a slow start, and if they can't get it, I hate saying this, Toronto wasn't looking good for a couple of games either, so I don't know. I would just be worried for any team in the Central Division that starts to flounder now.
So then what about teams that should chill out?
Panicking Boston fans need to chill. Philly fans should probably chill. I don't know if any LA fans are going bonkers, but they should be okay too.
I've seen a little bit of worry. I don't think they're that worried. Defending Stanley Cup champions getting off to a slow start is not exactly a breaking news storyline.
No.
I think that Washington fans should chill. I think it's going to be okay, Washington. I don't think you're necessarily going to be playoffs, but it's going to be okay. I think the Nashville fans should chill. Nashville is very happy right now, and I'm getting a little worried about the sad inevitability of the fact that Nashville's just not as good as Chicago or St. Louis or whoever.
Yeah, well, I mean, the top 3 in the Central currently are Minnesota, Nashville, and then Chicago, so...
Okay, by goal differential.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Minnesota had those games.
The reality is that it's so early right now in the season. No one's played more than 3 games, right? So
Montreal tonight.
Oh, okay. No one should be freaking out either way, really.
Yeah.
With the possible exception of it for injuries.
So Carolina.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the Carolina Hurricanes.
That's a storm every way around.
I think the Carolina fans have already banked it in for Eichel or whoever comes in third. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. They've never... Carmanos, from everything I hear in the local news, he's been totally... Like, he has this thing, it's like, you need to buy tickets, we're good, have patience, blah, blah, blah. Well, Francis really... He was like... Over the summer, he was like, we have everything we need this time around, which kind of said to the point was like, you're kind of gunning for that to do a total rebuild of the I think, he was saying we're doing a total rebuild without saying we're doing a total rebuild. And then I hear some of the local news analysts be like, they're in a rebuild, they just haven't said it. So
at least we said it.
True. The thing is, though, if that's true, I've heard Jeff Skinner's coming back in the next couple of weeks. And if they're in a rebuild, Skinner should not come back until, Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that's... I don't understand what's up with that.
Because Jeff Skinner's now had 4 concussions in 4 years, and he's a small guy and a skilled player, and he's going to get hit. And if they're really not aiming for playoff spot this year, which they shouldn't be, they should not be aiming for a playoff spot this year, then Jeff Skinner should go see whoever Paul Kariya saw in St. Louis, and he should go sit and not watch any television and think about what he's done and maybe learn to keep his head up.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like I was getting through the Twitter things today with the lineups were at practice. One of their defensemen is now forward. One of the top centers is Nash, who usually plays 4th line, and then the other one is Rask, who he's Swedish, and I think he was, I don't know. I don't think he played with the Checkers, but it's just bad.
You're going to have to tell
bad.
Jared to fill your stall quota because you're not making it.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's. I kind of feel bad down there for the Canes fans, but at least this is the year to be bad.
Well, see, the nice thing about Raleigh is that it's one of the biggest fastest growing cities in the country, and so what that means is there's a ton of people coming from up north and from the Midwest. I can't tell you how many Michigan plates you see during the summer because that's when all the people do like their house hunting tours.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got the universities there, and they keep on building new tech firms, so it's got all these people coming in. So you got potential hockey fans, you got a whole slew of Canadians, Europeans, usually Swedish, Germans that also like hockey, coming in. So the potential for a fan base really is there. You're not going to see them sell out all the time now because people just don't want to go see a losing team. But the thing is, I remember when I was in high school, all these kids that were from Boston or whatever that usually would choose for the Bruins, when they won the cup, they were all like, oh, okay, well, we're Hurricanes fans now. So it's just like, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, as a franchise, I wouldn't be worried about it. Like I said, they just their whole their development with the Checkers has just not been going well, and I kind of feel bad for Francis, and I feel like he has to really rebuild the whole thing from the ground up.
I mean, organizationally, they have to figure something out, which is there is genuinely something wrong with the Carolina Hurricanes organization.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think that people need to be worried in terms of, I don't think this is a franchise that anyone's talking about moving.
Excluding Dan Patrick.
And it's a franchise that, has won a Stanley Cup and has had success in the past, but there's been enough mediocrity in Carolina now for 6 years, give or take.
Yeah.
That something has to change big time. And I don't think that it necessarily happens this offseason. I think maybe next offseason Carolina's in for more upheaval.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you got to start looking for the Eric Staal trade watch.
Yeah, I didn't hear. They haven't talked about it really at all. Well, they did last spring, but I was watching the game Saturday. It was during the intermission stuff. They kept on talking about it. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It would suck for Jordan.
It would suck for Jordan.
Yeah. Okay. And speaking of your low attendance thing, we had some breaking news, and I kind of want to just address this now. The Panthers set a new attendance low tonight record with a grand total of 7,311 people there.
And on Saturday night, they set a season home opener low with some 11,000 people.
Yes. And now, obviously, I really feel bad for the Florida fan base because they're going to get all hit with we need to relocate you, so on and so forth, right? People do not like going to see teams that suck. Okay. The Panthers are not good. Not to mention, the Panthers are not located in a major city. Quite contrary, they're like 45 minutes north of it.
Yeah, if you take a look on Google Maps, it's all the way out in the suburbs, along the wall that goes to where development ends.
Yes. Sunrise is not close to Miami. People in Florida don't like making long drives unless they have to. People are not going to make a 45-minute drive to watch a losing team on a Monday night.
Yeah, and you've got the Niners playing.
Right.
Monday Night Football.
I hate saying it like that, but people are not going to make that drive unless they're diehards or they live in that area.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, really feel for Panthers fans. I know how it feels to, see an empty arena for your team. And although not in a while, thankfully. It's tough that people always are talking shit about it, but hopefully this is the beginning of something new with this new ownership, clearly willing to spend money. They hopefully are putting together a better team. Maybe with a little bit more time it'll gel. I do think we're going to see a regression in Roberto Luongo's numbers, though, from what we saw in Vancouver, just because he's now playing behind the Panthers, not Vancouver. But it's going to be tough, and just, bear with it. Reddit should be better about it, but can't ask for sympathy from the internet.
Yeah. Essentially, the problem is once Florida starts to get better and spends money, and that's what the new owners are doing, things will get better on the attendance end. But right now, Sunrise is out of the way. It's the same situation as with Glendale. Glendale is not exactly close to Phoenix. Sunrise is not close to Miami. And people in the South don't like to drive.
Speaking of Glendale, might be a bad comparison because they just sold 51% of the team, didn't they?
Yes. Okay, terrible comparison, but isn't what I meant, like, in distance from where they're actually located. But and when people talk about Florida teams, if you're gonna gossip and complain and bitch about Florida teams not deserving, please at least specify the Panthers and not lump the Lightning into that.
They had pretty terrible attendance during those years that they were bad too.
Yeah, and all teams do.
The Lightning, sold out in 2004 just fine, and the Lightning are obviously full crowds now that they win. But when you suck, there's a period that you have to go through where your attendance is going to be low, unless you have the good fortune to be the Toronto Maple Leafs, in which case there's no profit motive to get better, and your team sucks forever. So, in fact, the reality may be that for the sport of hockey, it may be the best that low attendance happens when teams are bad. Because otherwise teams are just mediocre like the Maple Leafs all the time. Sorry, Cora.
Well, the point of it is, especially down in these teams where it's warmer and nicer, there's other things to do during the winter time. So that also is a contributing fact. It's like, oh, let's see, I can go outside and surf, I can go to the beach, I can do this, I can do that, or I could go watch a losing team.
It also bears saying that Florida has historically low attendance numbers against Ottawa. That's not a team that's a big draw for them.
Well, just any of the really sport. I mean, they have trouble in sports just in general.
Especially South Florida.
Yeah, I mean, they did, the Heat got LeBron, so that helped a bunch, but...
Be interested to see the Heat's numbers without him.
Oh, and score update, Callahan for the second.
It's 7-1?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, they only have 17 shots on goal, and I swear I looked before a little bit, and it was like 17 then.
No, they're more than 17 shots on goal. For 19 shots on carry twice.
They have 1 shot on goal in this period. Oh, Montreal. I'm talking about Montreal.
Oh, you mean Montreal.
While Tampa Bay has had 16.
Steven Stamkos has more shots on goal tonight than the entire Buffalo Sabres team did this afternoon.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Sorry. Steven Stamkos has more talent in his entire body than most of the Buffalo Sabres team.
So, Corsi, Stamkos is Corsi compared to the team.
So, yeah, there's that. Question, we did get a question, and it was, how big is the Tampa hype train right now?
Too big.
Choo-choo!
It's too big, guys. Ben Bishop isn't going to be this good all season. Sometime in January, Ben Bishop is going to have a string of games where he posts like an 850 save percentage, and I'm just going to laugh maniacally and then hang up.
Okay. Let's get on to another topic. Trevor Giles. The AHL has suspended him 12 games after his incident where he jumped William Carrier and slammed his head repeatedly into the ice.
This is absolutely disgusting.
Yes. 12 games does not equal out banned, so I'm not very happy. But
This is a lot for the AHL, though. The AHL tends to give out less discipline than the NHL.
I hadn't seen it yet, so I'll have to watch that.
Oh, you really, that'll make you sick.
I'm already sick, so it makes me sicker. Ugh.
You're healthy to watch it.
I will tweet the link for people who have not seen the incident.
Oh, I should say I messed up, and it wasn't Callahan's goal. I was looking at Ice Tracker, which is notoriously slow. It's actually, no, I can't say his name, but it's his first NHL goal. Nemen Nikov.
Hold on, I'll go look.
Is it Russian?
Oh yeah, Vladislav Nemesnikov.
Yeah, probably Nemestikov. Congratulations, Ben. Nemestikov, Nimsky, as I'm sure your name is.
Vlad.
Yeah, Vlad.
Okay, I tweeted that video.
But yeah, wow, this is not good for the Habs. The Habs hype train is probably also too high. They've got a little bit of regressing to do.
Didn't they like get massively outshot during the game against the Capitals? And then
Did they play the Capitals?
yeah, it was like the first game of the season. They won in a shootout.
Oh, probably. I can find out.
The goal wasn't scored till late in the third period, or I think late in the third period. And
So
yeah, they had. Yeah, they started off slow, I should say. 2 shots on goal in the first period, compared to Washington's 15.
okay, so you think the suspension was a little bit too?
Oh, I think ideally I'd like to see him out of hockey, but if we can't have that, then at least 12 games is a lot, and maybe the Flames, the AHL Flames, not the NHL Flames, won't bring him back.
Yes, and he has played 57 NHL games and has been suspended for 31.
Dang.
Yeah, not a good sign.
No, not one bit. Alright, the other news we had was the OHL creates a new initiative to teach players and coaches how to recognize the symptoms of depression and provide each team a designated mental health coach.
That's because of that kid that died. I mean, that's part of the reason.
Yes.
Remember, I was talking. Okay.
It's
But
also, I think, part of just a broader movement, especially in minor hockey, towards more recognition for mental health issues.
Which is a good thing. Which is a great thing.
Yeah, it's so important, especially given the concussion issues in hockey. You know, concussions are linked to depression and mental health diseases and other issues.
And TBIs and such, so yes.
And for men, the general age, I think, where mental illness is most likely to hit you is the teenage years. For women, it tends to be the 20s, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And men, because of, and this is, I hate saying it's very gender biased sounding, but because of the societal pressure to be tough and strong, they tend to not
get help.
Yes. Women are more likely to seek out help for mental health issues over men.
So men need feminism too.
Yeah. Essentially, I think this is a fantastic idea. I hope it catches on and helps. Even if it saves one person's life, it'll
That's
be
already so much. Yeah. I think it'd be great if the NHL had this.
Oh yeah. I'm actually surprised they don't.
And I think that it would be really, really great if the NHLPA made this a part of retirement planning for players.
That
You
could
know, I think that would be important. So maybe this will inspire people, especially if the results are good or the feedback comes back that it's a successful program. It'll take some time to implement. And it's not perfect, but anything is better than nothing.
Yeah.
I think it was, it was a real good start when they did the Bell Let's Talk thing, with getting it really discussed more openly.
Yeah.
I think the NHL should do more stuff. Well, that was just the Canada thing, but I think the NHL should really get involved more with that.
And I think
doing
they
things
are.
like that.
They are in the background a little bit. This is actually pops up at a good time because this past week was Mental Health Awareness Week for those who didn't know that. And I do for those who are not aware, my degree I'm working on is in psychology, and I feel very strongly about mental health and getting awareness and all that out there. So. And I had posted something on my Facebook that said something like, what if people talked openly about mental illness like they do cancer? And if this is something that pushes that forward, then go for it.
I've got a whole cancer rant that we don't want to go on, so let's
Yeah.
stick away from that topic.
Yeah.
But,
I'm just saying, if it was talked about as much, it would be helpful. So, let's see what other topics.
Of socially progressive movements in hockey. In an interview, a roundtable interview, Jonathan Toews, Sidney Crosby, and Henrik Lundqvist all voiced their support for Puckin play, which is really awesome. It was the first time, at the very least, Crosby and Jonathan Toews have done it publicly. I think Henrik Lundqvist has been involved before. But it's now something like 20 teams have their captain or former captain as a supporter of Puckin play, which is just huge.
Patrick Burke tweeted the other day the name of at least one player from every single team who has openly supported it.
Yeah.
So all 30 teams have some support of some sort.
A couple teams don't have any current players anymore. Like, I think it was a Ginla for the Flames, and there's no one on the Flames right now who's done it.
Well, actually, I think the Flames have a few.
When we say support, do they actively, Twitter? Shit on Twitter? Because, the only thing I've really noticed is that they have YouTube videos with, people saying, I support you, you can play.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously, that really isn't, I don't really see that feasible for, every member of the NHL, even though it would be nice. I don't know how we'd grab. I mean, because I think there's a lot of people who support it who actively haven't, announced to the public because they're just not very social in that capacity, being like, oh, yeah, I support you can play.
That could be part of it. I know that a handful of the Flames players this summer walked in the Pride Parade with the Burks.
Oh, that's right. Sean Monahan walked in the parade.
Yeah. So the Flames have someone. if not, just, Brian Burke in general.
Yes, that's true. Brian Burke is basically the best. Yeah, if I were a 17-year-old boy, I'll take a walk in Fantasyland, who was also gay, looking to be drafted by an NHL team, I would be rooting so hard for Calgary, just because there is just no better advocate than Brian Burke. Because if you came out to the team and anyone didn't accept it on the team, Brian Burke would, A, literally punch them in the face in a Marno Lake Placid. That's a thing that Brian Burke does. And B, immediately trade them for, either no return or, Ryan Kessler. Right? Brian Burke either has horrible trades or amazing trades. It'd be great.
Yeah. So,
just how can you not love Brian Burke?
You have to love Brian Burke. It's sometimes a terrible GM, but sometimes he's great. So you go, Brian Burke. You do you. As long as you do you, not on my team.
Well, so the NHL in general is very active as a league for various social causes. So I gotta say that's very good to see, considering how other leagues have been dealing with stuff lately.
Cough, cough. Right now.
Not that impressed. We can say whatever we want about, yes, you can play as a complete organization, and I'm proud that it's associated with the NHL. And, yes, I think that it's great that the NHL has mental health awareness programs, and I'd like to see more of that. But the reality is, fucking Semyon Varlamov almost certainly beat up his girlfriend. He wasn't suspended for a single game because it wasn't on camera. And, the Blackhawks have a former player ambassador who has been convicted of domestic assault. And the league doesn't care and the Blackhawks don't care. Hockey is not better at for example, domestic violence and other leagues are.
I'm saying, like, with all the bad stuff, it's good to see the good that they do. As far as the Varley case, I mean, if the state didn't have enough proof to go with a conviction, you honestly can't blame the league. I stand by the league on that one. If they don't have the proof, they can't really do anything. Unfortunately.
I mean, even the reality is, it doesn't matter whether there's proof or not, and we saw that just fine in the oh my god, what's his name? Ray Rice case. There was literally a video, and he wasn't convicted in state court, nor was he suspended by the NFL until the video was released to the public.
Right, but I mean, I don't want to compare it to the NFL how they handled that situation. That never happened. I would still state that the NHL really could not do anything without proof, because there was so little of it for the state to even do something in this case. I'm not saying he did or did not do it. I was not there. I don't know what happened. I'm just going to be like, I wasn't there. But if there's so little that the state has to drop charges, you really cannot fault the NHL for going, well...
Okay, well then let's use an example where there was charges. Bobby Hull's been convicted twice of domestic violence.
In cases where there's convictions, there should have been something done. In cases where there's not enough evidence to prove that anything did happen, in a court of law, you really cannot fault the league.
Right, but my point is that the NHL is not better, we just know less. For example, Bobby Hull is still employed by the Blackhawks, and Bobby Hull has been convicted of domestic violence.
Yeah, that's a fault. Yes, I'm not saying that the league is perfect.
No, of course we weren't saying the league is perfect. I'm just saying I don't want to call it better. The world didn't get worse, your eyes just got wider, as they say, and I don't think that we know anything about the reality of the NHL's internal processes.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's my cynical take on it. I'm sure we had topics left to go over. Did we want to talk about Carlisle? He made some pretty fun decisions this week. I didn't catch the end of the Leafs game yesterday, but I know that in the first 5 minutes, Kessel played like 30 seconds.
See, I have given up trying to understand what he does. Like during the Pittsburgh game, granted I was jiffing a lot of that other games, but it was like, I get that we were losing, but it was this constant moving around, and then he stick up people on different lines, and then he scratches Jake Gardner, and he's like, you got the short end of the stick. It's kind of like, yes.
Yeah, Jake Gardner. For those of you who are not following the story, Jake Gardner, who was just signed to a new contract by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and is a pretty good defenseman, I think.
He's like a top 4 defenseman, right?
Yeah, a little high risk, a little high reward.
And he's a young guy, so he's like, what, 22? So he's got a good future, as long as he doesn't stay injured, knock on wood. If it was someone in the bottom defensive pairing who, like, was sit, it'd be like, oh, okay. But it's just like, when you bench him, it's going to make people look. And then apparently this was sarcasm. I don't know. I can't tell with this idiot, but Healy was basically complimenting Carlisle's coaching decisions in the last 2 nights, and it was like, he was like, Healy, if Healy's complimenting, my mind is going to explode.
The good news was Reimer looked really good. He left the game last night against because of a hit.
They skated today. So.
Yeah, and he said it wasn't serious, it was just protocol. Which, if they're enforcing concussion protocol, fucking awesome, amazing, I'm so happy. But, so that begs the question, of course, for the Leafs, which is, Bernier has not looked that good. And if Reimer looks really good, do you start Reimer next game? Do you go with Reimer as the starter? Is he the hot hand? What do you do about the Bernier-Reimer situation once again?
I'm predicting Carlisle will say, Jonathan, oh, he was just okay.
Yeah, any moment now. Someone's going to ask about a health update. He said, oh, he's doing okay.
God, He gives, it gives me a migraine.
Aw. Anyways, the Blackhawks are doing good.
Yes, thank you, because Cassie and I have sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we hadn't talked about my team yet, so I thought I'd just throw that one out there.
You won predictably against Buffalo.
Yeah,
Yes,
fun.
so
It
there was
fun
one
game.
interesting moment. Andrew Shaw, after being pushed away from the net by Myers, turned around and took a stick between Myers' legs, and Myers punched him.
Yeah, some people were like, "Oh, I don't think that Andrew Shaw's that kind of player. Like, maybe he'll learn from this." The reality is, Andrew Shaw is that kind of player. I'm pretty fine with it.
You're okay with the punch?
Yeah, he probably deserved it.
I sat there, I was like, because I saw the punch, I was like, what would have caused that? And
He
then
punched him hard too.
yeah, and then the Buffalo feed, apparently Chicago's feed didn't show this, but Buffalo feed went back and showed a replay and showed Shaw taking a stick between his legs, and I'm like, you know what? I would have punched him too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want for Andrew Shaw to have the reputation of, Brad Marchand or whoever. But, like, that's kind of what Andrew Shaw does. And he knows he's going to get punched in the face. And he should probably wear a visor, but he's not going to because he's a crazy person. So, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But no, it was a nice start by the Blackhawks. We played a pretty bad 2 periods against Dallas, and then really picked it up in the third. One in the shootout. Patrick Kane scored a shootout goal. One shootout goal is as many shootout goals as Patrick Kane scored last year, so this is promising. But, yeah. We found a great... Trevor Van Riemsdyk looks like he's going to be a really great defenseman, so that's very exciting. Rundblad fucking sucks. That's not good.
I may, when they start selling TVR shirts, I may have to get one just to complement my JVR shirt.
I think you should.
You're in separate conference, so it all works good.
Exactly. You should go to the Blackhawks or the Western team.
A long sleeve Kane 88 T-shirt. Hit me up. It's something I want. I don't know why they keep selling T-shirts. I don't want a T-shirt. I want a long sleeve shirt. That's just the thing, but it has to be Kane.
Okay.
Love Kane. I'm sure you're glad, Ari, that I said that. But
he's great. Everyone loves Patrick Kane, except for people who hate Patrick Kane. It's fine.
I'll focus on a couple good points from my team at least, because I was very negative. But given the team, so this year, so far, it has been decided that Jorgensen's and Ennis are the only two that want to score goals. As the only goals that have been scored in the 3 games we've played have been by those 2 players. Ristolainen looks fantastic.
don't we also have him on our fantasy team?
I believe we do.
Oh, dang. See, we're doing
Yep.
well.
Yes, we do.
Okay, are you guys playing together? That's bullshit.
Yes.
Totally outmatched.
Do you know our team name?
No.
Cassie.
Easy, brizzy, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yes. So we but it's been okay. It's just Enroth and Neuwirth have looked okay in the games they've played. It just no goaltender can handle that many shots without letting something in. Because the team in front of them have decided that they don't care. So
Aww.
it's not much of a deal. But the Wild have been doing fantastic.
Yeah, Wild looked good.
Yes. Definitely do not like the Abs much after the last couple games.
You know why I'm happy about the Wild
Why?
doing well? Because my linguistics professor, which I'm having a horrible time in that class, just because it's so hard. I don't know why I chose it, but he's from Minneapolis and is a Wild fan and is a big fan of people like Parisi and Suter because they're also from Minnesota. So I'm really hoping that when he grades my midterm, he's in such a good mood that he's a little bit more lenient. So keep it up, Wild. Do it for me.
They've been doing good. The Avalanche game was a little chippy, to say the least. I have a great dislike for Landeskog after it, so there's that. But they look good. Happy about that. I don't think we have any more questions.
People are just too happy over the Bolts win.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to think of.
You know what? It's nice to get revenge. So, should we talk about what are must-watches for you over the next week? We used to do this back when there was hockey last time, and now there's hockey again.
Let me look at the schedule.
I'm just looking at it right now. Let's see. The Islanders play the Rangers. Now that the Islanders are good and the Rangers are struggling a little bit, that should be interesting. Although I would say about the Rangers, Henrik Lundqvist got off to a slow start last year, and obviously turned out great. If he's off to a little bit of a slow start this year, I don't think that he won't shape up. AKA, I think that he will shape up.
Yeah.
Dallas at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that should be good.
That should be really good.
And Boston. Ooh, Boston and Montreal at the same time.
Yeah, Boston-Montreal Thursday night. St. Louis, Los Angeles is always a fun game, just because you can hate both of them pretty hard.
I'm personally looking forward to Detroit at Toronto. But,
Oh, Saturday, Boston and Buffalo. That'll be fun.
hey, remember what's on national TV tomorrow night?
Why are they putting that on national TV?
God, that's gonna be so bad. Because the last time, the one game that they did, they dissed Raleigh, which kind of ticked me off. But and then they went on about how horrible the teams were because it was Philly and Carolina, and now I just know, oh man, it's just gonna be bad. They're gonna
Those out of the loop, tomorrow night's nationally broadcast game is Carolina and Buffalo.
Don't worry, Buffalo fans. Half the arena will be filled with your fans. There's a ton of people from Western New York that live in Raleigh. So
it's just I don't know. It's like when the only game on the 9th was the Islanders versus Carolina. Why?
Oh God, it is.
And why did they not do any afternoon games this past Saturday?
Because the NHL
was
wants to see the world burn.
That was too much hockey. I could not handle it.
Well, I was also we were trying to balance between college and 2 NHL games, and it was...
After the Chicago game ended, I was trying to watch like 3 games at once, and the end result was that I couldn't watch any of the games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I drift a lot. I don't know if you count that watching.
We've also got Colorado at Montreal coming up, which is fun because the Montreal crowd always has things to say to Patrick Roy.
Oh, yes.
He can't hear him because he has the rings plugging his ears.
Of course.
As everyone has said ever since he won 2 more, it begs the question of where the other 2 rings went. Explains a lot about Patrick Roy. But he's not looking to win Coach of the Year this year, at least if their start is any indication. But it's early.
Very early.
They look like shit. Also, they have Danny Briere on the power play, which frankly, Danny Briere does not have any business being on the power play anymore.
So, okay.
I had fun. This was fun.
Yes, this is fun.
I hope the few of you listening had fun too.
I'm sure they had a great time.
Yep, so I think we should wrap it up.
I think so.
Okay. I'm Cora, Lorazon on Reddit, and Velociraptor on Twitter.
I'm Ari at R_Raid on Reddit, at R_Raid on Twitter, and once again, sorry to be the person who has to plug something, but you can find me at US Sports Nation, writing for the Blackhawks, and season preview is up. Recap of the game against Buffalo will be up anytime now, and I hope you check it out, leave comments, and tell me how I can be better.
And I am Cassie. I am Abstract Halo on Reddit, Twitter, and social media in general because I like creativity. You can catch this episode and all of our other episodes online at www.rhockeycast.com, subreddit r/rhockeycast, and YouTube channel, and follow the Twitter. Currently on the menu for this week, there will be After Hour tonight. On Tuesday, there is a new podcast with Lockria called Crashing the Continents. It looks at hockey outside of North America. On Thursdays is Toddler Thursday, and After Hour again. D4 will be making a return soon, and then on Saturday will be Wooden Ball. You can catch all those and all that in the aforementioned locations. Have a fantastic evening. Good night.